Have you ever felt like you're the only one in the world, sinking in a sea of loneliness, while everyone else seems to float effortlessly? It's a question that many of us may silently ask ourselves at one point or another. It's a thought that can gnaw at our minds, making us feel isolated, even in a crowd. Loneliness, my dear friends, is not a stranger to any of us. It does not discriminate. It can touch the life of the wealthy tycoon as much as it can the single struggling artist. It can creep into the heart of the seemingly happy couple as easily as it can into the soul of the solitary individual. The feeling of loneliness is a shared human experience, a universal sentiment that binds us in an unspoken understanding. It's a path well trodden by many before us, and many will tread it after us. Remember, it's not just you. Many have walked this path and emerged stronger. Let me introduce you to Emily, a woman who understood the depths of loneliness yet found a way to rise above. Emily's tale begins as a single woman, burdened with debt and the gnawing sense of solitude. She was in a place many of us have been, or fear to be, alone, financially unstable, feeling as if the world was closing in around her. But Emily was not one to accept defeat. She had an unquenchable spirit that refused to be extinguished. Her journey from this point is a testament to the human capacity for resilience and transformation. She began by tackling her debt. It was a daunting mountain to climb, but she took it one step at a time. She budgeted, she saved, she worked multiple jobs. Slowly but surely, Emily chipped away at her debt until one day she stood on top of that mountain, victorious. But the journey didn't end there. She still had to confront her solitude. This was a harder battle, one that required her to delve deep within herself. Emily began to spend time in her own company, learning to enjoy her own thoughts and her own presence. She discovered hobbies, passions, and interests she never knew she had. She realized that being alone didn't have to mean being lonely. In this solitude, Emily found strength. She found self-love. She began to see her value, her worth, beyond societal norms and expectations. And in this process she found hope, hope for better days, hope for a brighter future, hope for herself. Emily's journey wasn't easy. It was filled with trials and tribulations, but she emerged stronger, happier, and more hopeful. She found light in the darkest of corners, proving to herself and to the world that no situation is permanent, and it's never too late to change your circumstances. Emily's story is a testament to the fact that no situation is permanent, and hope can be found even in the darkest corners. Now meet John, a man who found himself alone and in despair, yet managed to find a beacon of hope. John was a regular chap, just like you and me. Life had thrown him a curveball, leaving him alone and weighed down by a cloud of despair. His world seemed as if it was painted in shades of grey, and he felt as if he was walking through life with a heavy heart. But as our story unfolds, we'll see how John managed to turn his life around. John found himself trapped in a cycle of loneliness and depression. The world seemed to be moving on without him, leaving him behind. But John was not one to surrender easily. He decided to use his solitude as a catalyst for change. He began to see his loneliness not as a curse, but as an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. John began by taking small steps towards positivity. He started reading self-help books, meditating, and even picked up a new hobby, painting. Each brushstroke on the canvas was a step away from his despair and a step towards hope. John started to see the world in a new light. His world started to fill with colour again. There were tough days, of course, days when the weight of his loneliness felt unbearable. But on those days, John reminded himself of his goal, to find happiness within himself, to create a world where he was not just surviving, but thriving. In the most unexpected places, John found hope. He found it in the silence of his solitude, in the strokes of his paintbrush, in the pages of his books. He found joy in his own company, comfort in his own thoughts, and strength in his own resilience. John's journey was not an easy one, but he pushed through the darkness to find his own light. He used his loneliness as a stepping stone towards a better life, a life filled with hope and happiness. John's journey shows us that even in our loneliest moments, we have the power to create hope and change our circumstances. Remember, like John, you too are capable of turning your life around. You too can find hope in the most unexpected places. Both Emily and John found themselves in the depths of despair, yet they emerged victorious. How did they do it, you might ask? Well, let's take a moment to reflect on their journeys. Emily, a woman who once felt alone, even in a crowded room, found solace in her own company. She discovered the beauty of solitude and used it to reconnect with herself. She learned to appreciate her own thoughts, her own ideas, and her own dreams. From that, she developed a love for herself that was so profound, it radiated outwards, attracting positivity and opportunities into her life. She was no longer afraid of being alone because she realized that she was her own best company. John, on the other hand, was drowning in debt, feeling cornered with no way out. But instead of succumbing to despair, he chose hope. He found a glimmer of optimism in the darkest of times and held on to it. He started small, setting achievable goals and celebrating every victory, no matter how tiny. Through patience, perseverance, and a positive mindset, he slowly but surely changed his circumstances. Both Emily and John were in dire situations, but they found hope where there seemed to be none. They learned to love themselves, not despite their circumstances, but because of them. They saw their trials as opportunities for growth and transformation, and they emerged stronger and happier. This is the power of hope and self-love. It's the ability to look beyond your current situation, to see the potential for change, for growth, for happiness. It's the understanding that your circumstances don't define you, but how you react to them does. It's the belief that you have the power to change your life, to shape your destiny, to find joy in the journey. So wherever you are in your life, whatever you're going through, remember Emily and John's stories. Use them as a beacon of hope when times are tough. Know that you too can find light in the darkest of times. Remember you are loved and there is always hope. Even in your loneliest moments, remember that you have the power to change your circumstances and find happiness.